Today's topic is about creating courses for a diverse audience. Now, this is not the same as abandoning your niche. You can keep your niche and still build in things like diversity, inclusion, and equality. And that's because we need to look at your audience in the range of people who can come in and really benefit from it. So let's give a couple of examples. Let's say you have a course that is made specifically for second grade teachers. That is a really good niche, but second grade teachers come in all sorts, right? They could come from a variety of different backgrounds, work in a variety of different schools. There's so much diversity within that niche. Or people who use Canva to make workbooks, very specific niche, but a very diverse audience. Or if you wanted to create a course for my particular station right now, I would love it if somebody would make a course on owning your first used car that's made specifically for teenagers. Yes, my son could use a course like that. So that's a very specific niche, but it could be a very broad audience when you're thinking about diversity, inclusion, and equality. Those are great values that we don't want to lose just because we're creating a course. So the way that you can do this is to really begin to think about your ideal avatar. That's where you start with. Start with your ideal avatar and then expand. Now, the first thing that I do with my avatars is I think about the range in age, experience, and education, because the range in age can mean a difference between comfort with technology. I hate to say that, but generally those things are true. It can also have to do with any sort of examples that you use. So people who are of an older generation may be very familiar with your example, where people who are new have never heard of it before, and vice versa. So knowing your age range is super important. Knowing the range of experience can be vital for how you structure your course. Let's say, for instance, you were working with creating a course for teenagers who are buying their first used car. So when it comes to experience for those teenagers, some of those teenagers may know very little about cars, and some may know a lot more about cars. And so knowing how to structure your course so that it serves that different range can be very helpful for your students. The other is the range in education. And a range in education can really help you from condescending to your audience. Like, you don't want to talk down to them, but you also don't want to assume that they know a whole lot of stuff. And so being very clear and simple with your words, that's always a great strategy, to be very simple and clear with your words. But if you're thinking about the range in education, that can be really great. I'm going to give you one little simple tip that really has helped me with the range in experience. So let's say you have a course that you're creating, and you could have some newbies, and you could have people who have lots of experience in that particular topic. I will say something like, as you probably know, and then give the fact that some people may know and some people won't. By saying, as you probably know, you're giving credit to those people who already know. And for those people who don't know, you're also kind of extending this idea that maybe you know, maybe you don't, and it's okay if you don't know, because you're giving the facts. So that particular phrase has really helped me from condescending or talking over the heads of people. So that is the range in age, experience, and education. Next, you really want to consider backgrounds in who that person is as a person. Like, what is their background? What is their familiarity with the language that you use? What you call something in one place is not what is called in another place. My dad wanted to pick up a little broom the other day, and he put down some word. I don't even recall what it was, but I know when I saw it on the shopping list, I had no idea what he was talking about. And that's my own dad. So sometimes just being very clear with the words that you're using when you're dealing with language proficiencies and differences in different areas of the country and what you call it here versus what you call it there could be very helpful. The economic background, the racial background, the physical abilities of your students. So if you're doing anything that has physical ability, like, consider that maybe they can't stretch that way or stand that long, or whatever the case may be, depending on your particular audience. And then the next is consider learning readiness. Now, these are factors that really have to do with how easy does your audience find it to sit down for a long period of time, or how often they might need a break, or how often you might have to use a story to get them involved. And these factors typically are sourced or rooted in their motivation to complete your course, the motivation to learn what your course teaches. If they're highly motivated, for instance, let's say that your course is like this phenomenal result that they can get. They just have to sit down through a really difficult 4-hour class. Their motivation for that is really high. I remember I had to sit through traffic school many, many years ago because maybe I was speeding a little bit, and so I got a speeding ticket. And I was able to have that ticket taken off my record if I would sit in traffic school. Well, who knows? I was highly motivated to show up for that 8-hour class. It was not an interesting or exciting class, but did I participate? Yes, I showed up, I participated, and that ticket is not on my record. At this point, it wouldn't be on my record anyway, because that was a very long time ago. And then the other thing is like another motivation is like, what is at stake? So if you're talking about people who are wanting to make big and radical changes to their lives that are incredibly important to them, that motivation is really high, and you can be a little bit more aggressive in your course creation versus somebody who got a lower motivation to complete it, in which case you might want to give them a little bit more breaks and make it more fun and gamify it and do all these other types of things. And the other is to really consider for all of your avatars, what is preventing them from making the change? Knowing their barriers to making changes can make it very easy for you to know that you need to have content that helps address those barriers. So what I said is the range in age, education, experience, the personality differences and what they bring to the table and how they may see the world, their perspective, super important, and their readiness to learn. That's also really important. So knowing these factors can make a huge difference in your course. And that is because it makes a difference in the examples that you use. It can make a difference in the structure of your course. It makes a difference in the ability to provide some extra content to get people up to speed if their experience is so much lower than a typical student. And it can be very helpful in the way you phrase your content. Now, the way I create my course is I create it with the ideal avatar in mind. And then I go back and look at what I've designed through the perspectives of those other avatars. So that way I can see how well my course is structured and will flex for the range of people that I anticipate will take my course. And this can be very helpful. What I've discovered is sometimes the changes that you make for some people, like maybe using simpler concepts to explain a complex principle. Let's say you've got something that's super, super complicated. If you can simplify that concept for somebody who doesn't have the experience, then it's going to make it easier and better for everybody, not just for that one. So what I've noticed a lot of times is a little bit of tweaks for those people at the margins actually makes the course better for everybody. Most course creators start with course content. Your course is going to be better structured when you have a really good feel for who it is who is attending your course. And that means that you need to know your audience, anticipate their questions, know what motivates them, help them to identify what keeps them stuck. If all you do is use that earlier version of yourself as your ideal avatar, and you're really not considering the margins, you're really not considering the other people who may benefit and be attracted to your course can come across as exclusionary. It can come across as though we don't really want people who are different from ourselves in this particular course. And I don't think that's what you want, right? I think you want everyone who takes your course to have a really good experience and for them to feel like you know who they are. And if you're truly a unique and wonderful person, as I think you are, then it really does help to get outside of your head and to see the world from a different perspective. So here's to courses that are diverse, that are inclusive, and that are equal. And I hope that your course makes a huge difference in a wide range of audience.